A question on communion. You explained the communion remembrance very well. How we no longer have to celebrate the Lamb because Jesus was the last. But when did the apostles stop? In Acts chapter 12, verses 3 to 5, Peter was arrested during the Passover celebration. Was he participating in it? Okay, so there's two things to say here. Number one, there's no indication necessarily that the apostles did stop celebrating the Passover. One thing we've got to remember is that the Passover was for the Jewish people. It would not be wrong by any means to continue celebrating the Passover after Jesus' death on the cross. Matter of fact, many Messianic Jews celebrate the Passover even to this day. It's a remembrance of God's deliverance of the nation of Israel via the provision of the Passover lamb. That's what the event is remembering. And this was to the Jewish people. So we as Gentiles are spoken of as being grafted into the Jews. I mean, it's not referencing us. Now, we derive our blessing from it, and we can joyfully and happily celebrate with him, but we're not part of that. So I think that's part of the answer here, is that, we as the church, we recognize this as pointing to Jesus. We derive our blessings straight from Jesus, and we happily celebrate this along with the Passovers, even if not just in spirit. We understand why they are celebrating it, and we celebrate God's provision to deliver his people. But it's not written explicitly to us. Would it be wrong to celebrate today both as a Gentile or a Jew? Of course not. It would be, and many Jews and Christians do this even to this day. So hopefully that's helpful, just to recognize we don't have to stop. It's not like the sacrificial system that was intended to take away sin, and now Jesus has come to replace that. Our sin is taken away through Christ. He's the fulfillment of that. We get that, right? The Passover is actually just a feast of remembrance that remembers Jesus' provision, and Jesus infuses into it new meaning, but it's a different sort of thing. It's a remembrance versus like an actual system that was intended to take away sin that Jesus fully replaced, if that is helpful in distinguishing those two things.